Hi friends, this is Bridgit Danner and I'm here today to chat with you about folate, aka folic acid, aka vitamin B9, and what you need to know about it when you're shopping for supplements, and if you have MTHFR gene variation, and especially if you are trying to get pregnant. So just a few categories, and you may want to pay special attention to this conversation on vitamin B9. So you have many B vitamins that you may know about. These are all water-soluble vitamins. That means that you cannot hold on to them. You need to consume them every day. So that's why I think it's really important to take a supplement with B vitamins every day, because if you haven't eaten the best that day, you could be missing certain things. And I'll also mention that when you're under stress, whether it's from airborne toxins or emotional stress, you're going to use more vitamins. So nowadays, I think we just often need more B vitamins than we used to, because we are under a lot of stress. And when we test our own clients, we find that people are often deficient in B vitamins. So folate is B9. Like a lot of the B vitamins, I'd say it's kind of an activator. It helps other enzymes work. It helps cells grow. It helps in the formation of DNA. All the B vitamins are really helpful for hormones. And B9 is pretty well known for helping with pregnancy and being really necessary, especially early stages of pregnancy, which we'll talk more about. So some food sources of folate: eggs, Brussels sprouts, avocado, asparagus, fresh fruits, mushrooms, beans, organ meats, okra. So a lot of sources, so that's a good thing. We talked about some of its roles in the body. One of it would be keeping down homocysteine. And when homocysteine levels become too high, that can increase chances of heart disease and stroke. Another thing that a shortage of folate can do is lead to megaloblastic anemia. Red blood cells are getting big and not dividing. I see this all the time in blood work that we run. Helps for women's hormones with mood swings, again, promotes a healthy pregnancy, can be used for depression, memory loss, impaired cognitive thinking. MTHFR, I mentioned earlier, is a gene that can have a variant that makes it difficult for you to convert synthetic folic acid into active methylfolate. And this is as high as 2 in 3 women. So it could be really high, and many of us haven't been fully tested for that or tested at all for that. So if you don't know, it's better just to avoid the folic acid. So folic acid is in a lot of foods as an additive because it prevents neural tube defects. So the federal government wants to prevent that. So they require folic acid to be put into crackers and breads and things like that. Could be another good reason to avoid that kind of processed stuff. Also, you might get too much iodine in things like commercial baked goods. Kids are eating a lot of things like crackers and pasta and cookies and stuff like that potentially, and they can have the same gene variant that doesn't let them break down this folic acid, and then the folic acid can build up in the system and block even the receptors for folate. So it can be a problem, and it may pretty much be an undiagnosed issue for many of us. So it's good to shine some light on it. Be cutting back on those kind of processed breads and crackers and stuff like that, getting more foods with folate, and then taking a look at your supplements to see what type of B9 is in them. So let me see if I had anything else before we got to that. Yeah, again, as you're trying to get pregnant, if you're in that category, be especially careful of this issue. And I would say consider MTHFR gene testing with your practitioner if you've had miscarriage or trouble with fertility. So this is our multivitamin. It's called high potency multivitamin, mostly because it's actually going to get into you. So if you can't absorb or break down the folic acid and turn it into the active form of folate, you're just not getting it, right? So we kind of talked about that. So when you look for B9 on a label, it should say folate and not folic acid, and it'll have a further descriptor saying methylfolate or 5-methyl tetrahydrofolate, something like that. Another one to check when you check a label of a vitamin is B12. So a cheap B12 is cyanocobalamin, and a good B12 is methylcobalamin, which is what ours has. Just a note on pricing. Folate is expensive. Methylfolate is expensive. I just got a quote for it because we're developing an electrolyte, and it's $12,000 a kilogram. So you can imagine why it's not in most multivitamins at Costco or Target. It's because it's expensive. So when I'm looking at like different supplements, maybe I'm buying something for my son or I'm out and about, I just check what kind of B9 does it have and what kind of B12 does it have. And if I see that it's cyanocobalamin or folic acid, I know it's like cheap, right? They're not trying to get you the most absorbable form. They're trying to get you the cheapest form. So another quick side note before I wrap up, some people will even be sensitive to folate in a supplement because of their detox status or other genetic status, they don't kind of, how can I say, process the same B vitamins the same as everyone else, and it may make them feel depressed or agitated. It's just kind of a side note. It's not a lot of people, but if you notice that B vitamins don't make you feel good, I would also talk to your practitioner about that. So this is a 2-a-day high quality multivitamin. We'd love for you to give it a try. So we have a special offer below the video. And I just take 2 a day, usually after lunch, and it's giving me all those B vitamins and some other nice little trace minerals that help me with things like my immune system and blood sugar metabolism. So thanks for learning with me, and feel free to check out our high potency multivitamin with a nice clean folate below.